In this video, I have a look at the floodlight security system from Swann. So I haven't had the camera for very long, I've just installed it very recently, but what I have done is I'm giving you the features and the first impression that I got out of the camera. There's a couple of things that I really like, some of the things that are a little bit maybe not so good, and are worth considering if you were to buy the camera. Having a look at the camera, the first thing you're probably going to notice is the lights. It's got 2500 lumen lights and they're pretty bright. If you see the recordings, you can see that the light that's shot out goes all the way up to the fence, and that means that the recordings that are made, you can see all the way up to the fence. But I think if the fence was not there, you'd probably be able to see a little bit further as well. The light is dimmable, which means that you can adjust the intensity of the light. What this means is that you can set the light to say 100% in the night time when you're using it for security reasons, and you can adjust it to say 30-40% or whatever you need when you need to use the area for something else. So the unit has a built-in speaker and microphone, and what you'll find is that the microphone is quite clear. If there is something going on in the environment, you're probably going to hear it, whether it's birds chirping, people talking, or just general noise like cars going by, you will hear it. And I think the pickup is quite far away as well. We found that people who were talking over the fence in that footage that was there before, we could actually hear them. Maybe not clearly, but you could definitely tell that there was somebody there, which I think is quite handy to know. Having a look at the speaker, what I found was that if you were to talk through it, there would be a little bit of feedback back into the microphone, and that would make a feedback loop. Also, I found that the microphone did pick up a lot of wind noise, and you'll see that now. And I think that has to do with the location and the placement of the camera. In particular, I think in this case, because the wind direction is into the microphone, it actually distorts the sound. What I'm going to do now is talk through the iPhone through the SafebySwann app, and hopefully on the other side the other camera will record what is outputted on the sensor floodlight. So here goes. Hello there. How are you? So when you do install your camera, you might want to be thinking about where you're putting it and how it is in relation to the wind. If you're putting it in an interior patio area or something like that, I think you'll be okay. But if you're putting it somewhere where it's going to be exposed to weather and it's going to be exposed to strong winds, you may not be able to use the microphone as well as if it was in that enclosed area. The speaker will work fine though. Turn it off. The unit also has a built-in siren, and that shoots out sound at 75 decibels, so that's quite loud. In the nighttime you'll definitely hear it. In the daytime it will be slightly less loud with traffic noise and your general noise, background noise that you get in the daytime. But that doesn't mean that it won't be heard. Having said that, I don't think this is going to be as loud as the normal security alarm system that you get in your home with the big box outside. So you might want to consider that if you're thinking that this is going to be a deterrent. It will be, but it's not going to be as loud as maybe what you're expecting. If you're trying to figure out roughly what 75 decibels sounds like, a good way is to go and get a sound decibel reader, and you can usually get apps like that, and just walk around and find something that's of similar sound, and that will give you an idea of how loud the alarm will be. So the camera shoots in 1080p, it's a 2 megapixel camera. It's quite good. It shoots fine details. You can definitely see them in the camera, and you'll be able to see registration plates and whatnot. If you want to know roughly what that looks like, have a look at some of my other videos where I do some comparison of 1080p to 4K to 5 megapixel. It will give you an idea of what you can expect. There are also some good videos up which show the differences in the camera details as per their resolution quality. So the unit uses infrared, and that's quite handy. It means that it's not using pixel motion or motion in the pixels to detect the movement in the camera. Rather it's using heat sensing motion, and that's quite useful. It means that you get less false triggers. Now for me personally, what I found was that if it was on high sensitivity, because of the placement of the camera, the tree that's right in front of it, if it moved, it would actually pick it up as movement and would say that there was a motion detected, and on low sensitivity it would not. So I think also there is a question there of how high you set the sensitivity. Now I'm sure that this camera automatically goes to heat sensing. It does PIR. It doesn't use the pixel motion detection at all. So when you are placing your camera, make sure you think about your trees in respect to the camera. If they're too close, they could potentially be a moving object for the camera and therefore give you a lot of false detections. But if you set it on low sensitivity, you shouldn't have a issue. So the floodlight camera works off a Wi-Fi connection, so it's really important that you check that your Wi-Fi connection for where you are going to be using the camera is good. Now you can usually go and get apps that test the Wi-Fi strength at certain locations around your home, just by signal strength, and that usually gives you a good idea of what you can expect if you were to get the floodlight camera. If you're getting too low signal strength and your app is saying that the signal is weak, it's probably not a good idea to go with a Wi-Fi camera unless you're planning on moving the router or the place where you're getting the wireless network from closer to the actual system, because you'll just find that it will be very laggy, it won't connect a lot, some of the times it won't connect at all, and also you'll find that when it comes to feedback in terms of live view, when you're trying to view the camera live, it will be really pixelated and it just won't be very nice. So having a strong connection is really important for these Wi-Fi cameras, and if you don't have it, it's probably a better idea. As I said, look around, find something better, find a connected solution, cable solution, or potentially move your Wi-Fi, or even look at getting a Wi-Fi expander, which is a range extender, so that you get a stronger signal which the floodlight can latch onto. So the camera records to an SD card, and it also records directly to the cloud. So that's free local and cloud recording. But if you want to have more cloud storage, then you need to actually pay for that, and I think they go up to 30 days. But speaking, you won't really need to pay for cloud storage. It's got a lot of storage to start off with, and you'll find that for a residential user, maybe if something happens over the night, you'll probably be downloading that footage the next day anyway. So if you download that footage directly from your SafebySwann app, then you won't be needing that footage for much longer, because you can store it permanently on your computer. So the camera has a really wide PIR range of detection. It's 270 degrees, and from the video you can kind of see that even when I'm at that 135 degree angle from, I guess, the sender line, it still picks up and it's quite responsive, which I was quite happy to see. Actually, I was quite surprised. And what that really means is that if someone was to be walking in that general vicinity, even if they are not in the camera, they can still be heard, and they can still be light will still be shone, which would mean that even if they were hiding around the corner or something like that, the camera should pick it up. The camera should pick it up, and the camera should turn the lights on and send you a notification. Speaking of notifications, this camera pushes out push notifications whenever it has a detection to your phone, whether it be Android or iPhone, which is super handy. It just means that you know what's going on around the area. You can also have different modes set up, and the whole idea of the modes is that it allows you to choose between sensitivities and allows you to choose between settings, so you can have different settings for different times of the day. For example, when you're at home, you probably don't want the siren to be going off if you're walking past it to put your clothes on the line or something like that, so you can set it to home mode. Whereas if you're away, then you may want to set it to a detection mode, whereas night mode, generally speaking, people are not going to be coming around the property at night time, so you may want to have the siren set up so that whenever a detection happens, the siren most definitely will go off. If you do that though, you probably want to set the sensitivity very accurately, otherwise you'll have a lot of sirens throughout the night. So the camera is IP65, which means it's going to withstand all your general weather conditions, in snow as well, and heavy rain. But if you do decide to fire water at it, say through a water blaster, that is a danger and probably a no-no. It will probably damage the unit. So when you are using things around the camera that are for cleaning, you just got to be a little bit careful that you don't fire directly at the camera. Better than that would probably be to, I guess, clean it by hand with the cloth. So the camera is hardwired, which means that it runs off your mains board in the same way that your lights and your power points do. What that means is that if you were to turn it off and then turn it back on from the switch, it will go back to the settings and it will connect immediately to the last Wi-Fi connection, which was set up when you install the camera on the SafebySwann app. What this means is that when the camera is on, you can control the siren and you can control the camera detection, but you cannot control the lights as it stands. If you wanted to set them in time intervals, say from 6 a.m. in the morning to 6 p.m. in the evening, you don't want the lights to be flicking on when it has detection, and then from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. you want the lights to be flicking on, turning on. You can't really do that as it stands. Maybe in the future there might be some functionality for that, but basically only thing you have at the moment is the modes, which is home, away, and night mode. So having a look at the SafebySwann app, if you go into the app itself, it will come up with a page that looks like a home page, and that just shows you all the cameras that are available. From there I have clicked the back garage, which is the floodlight camera, and this is basically what you will see on it. Here you can turn the floodlight on, so here you can talk and you can record footage as well if you need to. You can also sound the siren if required. You can capture a picture and you can have a look at the activity that is going on if you need to. So from the camera you can actually go to the settings, and in the settings you will find a general tab, camera, siren and light tabs as well. Now on the general tab you'll be able to update your Wi-Fi, and you will be able to sync to the phone time if you need to. On the camera tab you will be able to set up the image quality, and you'll be able to set up the sensitivity of the camera. You'll also be able to format your SD card, and you can view the camera backup if required, which is the footage on the camera. In the siren tab you will be able to set how long the siren is set on for, what is the volume of the siren and the two-way audio, and you can also set whether that is triggered by motion. Now the light settings, the only thing that's available for us at the moment is that when you trigger the light, you can tell how long it will stay on for. It starts the setting at 30 seconds and it goes all the way up to I think 10 minutes or 5 minutes if I remember correctly. As a side note, thank you for watching the videos that I put up, and this is just another one of the Swann series cameras, which I thought would be good to have a look at and show you what you can expect if you were to add this to your existing system, or if you were to buy this as a standalone unit. I've also got the indoor cam, which I'm going to be having a look at a little while later, and I will put that up in another video. Also, I'm planning to answer some of those questions that have been placed in the comments below some of the other videos, and hopefully if you have questions on this video, feel free to ask as well, and I'll do that in a video format because I don't always get the time to sit at my computer and prepare something or prepare text so that you guys can have written answers to your questions.